This is a question from Anna Martinova. Who knew that there would be two Anna Martinovas? Look at her, she's smiling over. Okay, I caught you. You got to be on your guard around me here, tough girl. All right, back to her question here. Oh, do I have it? Where is it? Okay, here's her question here. Anna, you do know that you work here now. You can get these questions answered much more directly. But it was a fine question, so I thought I would go with it here. Here it is. She apologized for the very long question. You're excused. Here's the question. If an aspiring artist/band would have to choose between two managers, which one would you think would be the best option for the artist? A young manager who already has some industry experience, who is extremely ambitious and hardworking, very passionate about the artist/band, and is ready to dedicate all the time and effort to develop the act. Or B, a big-time manager who has all the experience and great connections all day long, who currently manages several top-level artists. The manager seems to believe in the artist, is willing to give it a shot, but makes it clear that he will concentrate most of the time and attention on the existing acts that already bring lots of dough. Anna, that is a fine question. I should have put the question back up here again. There it is. That's a fine question you got there, Anna. And let me give you the answer to it, because it's not, like so many things in the music business, the answer is not clear-cut. If you've done this for any length of time, you already know that, but I'll just reinforce that. Here's some things to think about. For the young, enthusiastic manager, right? Being young and enthusiastic is great. You know, I was young and enthusiastic once. I know it's hard to believe, but it's true. But what you lack is that experience, right? In understanding how situations develop, understanding how record company politics work, understanding how the concert business works, understanding how publishing works. But you can get through all of that if you had deep contacts in the industry, right? And that you were well connected. Most young managers, no matter how enthusiastic or talented and whatever killer instinct they have, just haven't had the time to build that big fat Rolodex that you'd have if you've been doing this for 40 years like I have. So that's not to say that they can't do the job, right? Because I've seen some really young managers do a great job. There's one I reference all the time, Nicky Berger, who he was a terrific young manager who got it really quick. There's another young manager who I met and had on our web show. His name is Joey Papoutsis, who's a 25-year-old who's going to law school. I don't know if he's going to finish law school. He's a terrific manager, has a great perspective, and I kid with him that, Joey, you're 25, you think like a 45-year-old guy, and that's good stuff. But the main missing element here is that experience of seeing how things play out in real time versus reading about it or listening to me talk about it. You know, doing it is the best teacher here, right? The grizzly veteran with big roster. Well, what that tells you is that they have deep contacts in the industry. They have track record. They know what's going on. They've seen it all happen a million times. But the question is, are they going to have the time to do it, right? And in most cases, if the artist is showing signs that it has potential, it'll find that manager's attention. But I think what's interesting about the question here, Anna, is that when you get an experienced manager at a big firm with multi-clients, what's likely to happen is they're going to assign one of the younger managers in the company to do the day-to-day on that artist. So here's something to think about, folks. And Anna, you know, I talked about it earlier. If you are a young manager who has some potential, acts that have potential, you might want to think about joining up with a bigger firm. Because when I read this question, and I thought about this, guy A should go to guy B and say, how about I got this act that you and I both believe in. I'd love to come here and work with you on this, right? And see if you can get a job working at a bigger company. My friend Nicky Berger that I spoke about just a minute ago joined a bigger firm. There was a couple other managers that I met with, a gentleman by the name of Elliot Harrington, who was a young manager, and we talked about joining up, and he joined the C3 folks. Or no, excuse me, Red Light Management here in town. There was another young manager by the name of Dean Reyes who was going it on his own and doing quite well, but he decided to join up to the C3 folks, which is a big company out of Austin, Texas. So bottom line is you want enthusiasm, Anna, but you also want experience. And if I had to choose between enthusiasm without a lot of experience or experience with the requisite amount of enthusiasm, I think I would choose the latter, just because the game moves very fast and you don't have time to learn on the job.